Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 5 questions in about 12 or 15 minutes, and I'd like to welcome our guest today. This is Nick Hansen of Diversified Insurance from right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So Nick, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. What would you like the audience to know about Diversified Insurance?
Oh, Diversified Insurance is like just the premier brokerage firm here in Utah. If you think about the best name brands within Utah, that's who are our clients. We serve and support them. We help them with their risk management and insurance placements. So out of the last 30 IPOs that came out of the state of Utah, we insure about 27 of them, from the biggest brands in technology to manufacturing to life science, healthcare, you name it. We're here to support you, and we work with small startups that have venture money that are on a high growth plan. We help strategically place your insurance so it covers you for the here and now, but also scales with you as you rapidly grow.
Fantastic. And it's primarily commercial insurance, correct? As opposed to your personal?
Yep. This is your commercial insurance, all of the pesky insurance that is required. So everything from directors and officers insurance to employment practice liability, workers' comp, general liability, product liability, professional liability, you name it. Depending on the industry, there's a broad spectrum of insurance requirements. And so we couple it to fit your specific needs.
That's awesome. Very good. All right, let's jump to our questions. Our first question, share with the audience a time when you maybe struggled or had a conflict with a coworker and how you resolved it.
Yeah, so before I moved into the consulting side over at Diversified, I used to run the general surgery and OR over at Primary Children's Hospital. So I worked with very highly educated, very competitive surgeons, and with that comes some challenges. Is you have different points of views, you have different perspectives. Surgeons historically are focused on taking care of patients, where hospital administrators are focusing on the day-to-day business aspects of running clinics and surgery centers. And so working with these surgeons, we come about it from different perspectives, and a lot of times when there's miscommunication or you have two very type A personalities coming at a problem maybe from a different angle, it's important to just take a step back, because you might be looking at it the same problem pretty much on the same page. Maybe you're just on different paragraphs. And so if you take a time just to pause and say, I'm missing something. We got off on the wrong foot. How are you approaching this? You generally can find some common threads to realign to your values, to attack the problem together and work cohesively. But if you just stick in the ground and kind of butt heads, you're not going to make any progress. So just taking that time to just say, wait, I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood where you're coming from. Let's back up and start fresh. And I think then everyone kind of cools down and is able to approach it more level-headed.
That's a great perspective and a great idea. And I like how you described that you might be on the same page, but in a different paragraph. I like that. That adds a new level to that phrase that we so often use. But I like that. That's great. It's a great suggestion. All right. Question number 2. I'm sure you've heard the phrase that people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. What's one tip that you have for leaders to help them retain their talent longer?
Yeah, I've been in that situation where I've led a large organization and had several teams, and I definitely was not the perfect manager and have probably made some follies that made people leave. But I think having a cohesive culture, but also understanding who the players are within the organization. In the hospital setting, you have different levels of power. You have surgeons that are generally male-dominated professions. Then you have supporting like nurse practitioners, or what they call APPs, advanced practitioners. And generally those are highly educated, very skilled, women-driven industries. And then you have nurses that are primarily women-driven. And so understanding kind of the culture and dynamics of how people are approaching problems and who the players are in the situation, because in a hospital, you have top-down authority, surgeons, advanced practitioners, nurses, MAs, and so on. And you have to really have grassroots efforts to encourage those people that are maybe considered in the bottom tier to really have a voice within the community and be able to talk through problems at the same level and same respect as a surgeon. And so really kind of creating a culture builds around managers so people aren't frustrated, because a manager is the scapegoat. It might be kind of more systemic and more of a situation, but they might blame the manager because their voice wasn't heard. So trying to bring an even level in the playing field really goes a long ways.
That's a great insight. Like that a lot. Very good. All right. Question number 3. How would you recommend that leaders help build resilience inside of a team?
Resilience is an interesting aspect when it comes to team building. I think a lot of times people will believe that they are resilient, but they have an employee mindset. And so they're there to go in and do a job, and depending on that level of expertise and professionalism, they approach it a little bit differently. And so right now we hear about quiet quitting and retaining workforce. And so resilience really kind of comes down to getting the right players in the right seats at the right time. So you might have an A player stuck in a B game that just really is kind of going through the motions. And so really trying to elevate the key players within the organization and rewarding them appropriately. Paychecks, aren't necessarily the key indicator for keeping people there. You could offer a bonus, you can offer salary increases, but really that doesn't keep people there. It's the resilience of how they approach a job, problem, or organization. And so trying to find those key players and putting them in hopefully will create a culture that people are motivated by a cause. I saw this in healthcare. People are motivated by the cause to help the outcome of a patient. You see it within risk management. We work with a lot of different industries, and we work with these companies that are on the cutting edge. And so they believe in the mission and the vision. And so to create that within the culture builds resiliency. So when you have to pivot, you understand you're moving towards a better target, and you have this vision, this internal passion that can overcome maybe some bumps along the road.
Great ideas. Building that cohesive culture, that really is a key component because as we were talking about before we got the camera started, um, you never know what's going to come. And so it's hard to prepare for everything that may happen. But having that cohesive culture really contributes to being able to say, okay, we have a new problem. How are we going to solve it together as a team? So great comments. Love that. All right. Question number 4. Is there someone that you would like to recognize that has had a positive influence in your life?
Oh, absolutely. I have been the product of being surrounded by smarter, more capable men and women, people that have, really just been giants within their industry that I've been lucky enough to stand on their shoulders. So for me, in each industry, I've always had kind of a coach and a mentor. And I think it's important for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're at the height of your organization or company or industry sector, you need to have a coach and a mentor. You look at the late Kobe Bryant, a goat within his industry, but at the same time, he always sought out greater mentorship, like a Michael Jordan. And if you look at their fadeaway shots and how they go about it, it's almost identical. Is because they wanted that mentality, they wanted that work ethic that someone that was in a different era really had. And so, two people that come to mind, well, I'll give you 3. First and foremost, my family, my immediate family and extended family, been a great influence for me. I think here in the state of Utah, we have this great, cohesive culture. It's a, small lake city. Everyone knows everyone, which there's so much value into it because we collectively work as an organism and boost each other up when we have positive environments. So my family, first and foremost. Second, when I was in the hospital administration, aspect was my coach and mentor, Dr. Scaife. Just the salt of the earth, very humble, very smart, but just a great leader and a great motivator. And then here at Diversified, like I said, I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by great coach and mentors, but our market president, Spence Poole, is by far one of the best leaders that I've ever worked with. And that's saying a lot. And so just how they approach problems, how they communicate is just so important for everyone to succeed.
Well, thank you so much for, first of all, recognizing your family in that great list, but also the other individuals. Spence Cool, is that what did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, Spence Hool.
Cool. Okay, good. Because I was like, it cut just there for a second. So I wanted to make sure I heard that. But I'm glad that you're able to find some people that have really made an influence, because boy, that makes a huge difference for each of us when we know that there are other people that have been helping us along the way. Great. All right, Nick, last question. Tell us a little bit about your first job.
Oh, see, I was kind of always this environment of, hard work. So my brother started a, local neighborhood lawn mowing business. And so by the time I was 11, I was kind of indoctrinated into trimming, mowing, and blowing lawns, and we were really cheap, probably a little too cheap for the market value. We were kind of that young, scrappy crew. I have two older brothers, so we were the Hansen brothers going around neighbor to neighbor and doing a really quality job. And we probably should have charged a little bit more. So we quickly got more and more referrals. And so we had, 11 lawns. Then when I came on board, we started to go up to 20 and then 35.
Wow.
And so, every Friday and Saturday, as my friends would leave school, they were making plans and they're like, "Oh, Nick, come join us." I'm like, "No, I gotta go mow lawns." So unfortunately, I missed out on a lot of social aspects of life. Kept me out of trouble, but at the same time, it was a great experience just to work hard. Every day during the summer, you're out mowing lawns, and it was great rewarding because it's residual income. You're mowing it, at least 3 to 4 times a month, and so you're able to cash in on that, and it was a great little side hustle.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, there is a trade-off there, isn't there, that give up the social life for the money, and some choose to go the other direction. But either way, thank you so much for sharing that. And Nick, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me directly. We love talking with businesses of all sizes, from startup to IPOs. Diversified is well versed in helping companies, especially if you have venture capital or private equity money. We can help you scale and grow and develop your risk management program. So call me directly. Let's talk about your risk. Let's talk about your organization and how we might be able to find value through a strategic partnership. So call me directly at 801-325-5038. You can reach me through my direct line, again, 801-325-5038, or you can reach me on my email, which is Nick, Hansen, Hansen, at IMA Corp. That's I as in igloo, M as in Mary, A as in Apple, CORP.com. So reach me out and we can connect and see how we might be able to help mitigate your liability, reduce your insurance spend so you can reinvest into your company, and really help you grow.
Awesome. Thank you again, Nick. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. And we also encourage you to subscribe to the podcast, whether it's the audio version or the video version. Either way, we'd love to have you join us every Thursday for a new episode. Thanks so much for joining us today, and have a great day.